Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video here on a Tuesday. Hope you had a great holiday weekend, a great Christmas. Steelers didn't, because they, of course, got absolutely obliterated by the Chiefs on Sunday, as Megan talked about in her video yesterday. Right now, though, we'll jump into the news here on a Tuesday, starting with Shannon Sharpe, who, maybe you like first things first, or not first things first, sorry, skipping Shannon Undisputed, maybe you don't. Either way, Shannon Sharpe is a very vocal sports commentator out there in the ether, and he called out Mike Tomlin in a tweet that isn't necessarily wrong. And I know we wouldn't talk about something like this here on a Tuesday. There are more pressing issues right now in terms of injury stuff, in terms of the playoff push, in terms of trade stuff, which we'll get into later on in this video. But the tweet to me is something I want to show you guys and get your guys' thoughts on Shannon Sharpe's idea that Mike Tomlin is soft and one of the reasons why the Steelers are having so many issues at wide receiver over the past couple of years. So, for instance, on Sunday, Steelers wide receiver Ray McLeod got another wide receiver taunting penalty. You see Chase Claypool do this a couple of weeks ago. This is like a reoccurring theme here that the Steelers have dramatic, receivers who don't just follow the rules in terms of not being dramatic, right? That's the big problem right now, is that you have Chase Claypool, you have Deontay Johnson, in the past you had Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster last year, and all these players are forming a pattern at wide receiver, and the only person that you look at in terms of blaming besides the actual players who deserve a lot of blame is the head coach and Mike Tomlin, and that's what Shannon Sharpe tweeted out just the other day. Throw it up on the screen right now. Quote, "Don't care what anyone says. For every Steelers wide receiver to get unsportsmanlike, taunting penalties, or exhibit behavior seen in the last decade, it's coached in Pittsburgh, and Coach Tomlin condones it. Tell me I'm lying," end quote. Now, again, I'm not a big Shannon Sharpe guy. I think he has a lot of hot takes out there, much like the rest of the talking heads on ESPN and Fox Sports and the rest, who seem to just kind of bloviate to get clicks and get likes, but he has a point here, right? In my opinion, this is both on coaches and players. Obviously, you can't just sit here and say, Mike Tomlin is fully to blame here because he's had so many receivers who, have not performed well in terms of on-the-field or off-the-field activities, all the unsportsmanlike penalties. That's on Mike Tomlin. No, and at first it's on the actual culprit. It's on the actual wide receiver. It's on Deontay Johnson. It's on Chase Claypool. It's on formerly Antonio Brown. It's on Juju Smith-Schuster. At first off, that is the issue. It's your own personal issue as a wide receiver. But at the same time, the fact this is not getting squashed and not getting, condoned or not getting pushed down, to me, it is kind of a thought there that Shannon Sharpe is showing here, that maybe Mike Tomlin needs to be a little bit harder on these receivers and make this a zero-tolerance policy. You guys got to stop doing this. And I know that it's not the end of the world. It's not like they're going out there, and throwing games. But these unsportsmanlike penalties at ill-advised times and ill moments in games, especially when you're losing, is infuriating for fans to watch. I'm sure you guys are tired of it, and I am too. And it feels like they really got to button down the hatches on this one and get it to where they stop doing this. And I don't know if it's just, maybe draft less dramatic receivers, less, divas out there. I don't know how you do that in a draft process. I thought Chase Claypool was going to come in here and not really be a diva. I really was one at Notre Dame. Or you just got to coach it out of them early, or you got to break it down right now. I don't know what the solution is, but it's interesting that other people are noticing it and not just Steelers fans. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this this pinned comment down below in the comment section. Who do you blame for the Steelers' struggles? Do you blame Mike Tomlin for everything that's gone on with the Steelers, not just from the wide receivers being dramatic to the actual, 7 losses this year? Who do you blame? Give me your thoughts down below right now. All right, moving on to some more, I'd say, interesting news, and less about just, the dancing around of the receivers and the unsportsmanlike penalties. Let's talk about a very interesting website, or a post on a fan-sided website that talked about potential trades the Steelers should do in the offseason. And so you just kind of go, okay, wait a second, we're not at the offseason yet. However, the Steelers are virtually eliminated from the playoffs, as we'll see a little bit later on. Mathematically, no, and we'll talk about the past in just a couple of minutes here, but their playoff hopes are rapidly dying. And so, Fansided and the Steel Curtain website listed 3 Steelers that the team should go ahead and trade this offseason. And I'm starting to go, wait a second. These 3 actually make sense, although they might be a little bit controversial, and that's why I want to show them to you guys here right now. So here are the 3 players the Steel Curtain website talked about the Steelers should trade this offseason. First, Chase Claypool. Second is linebacker Devin Bush. And third is cornerback Cameron Sutton. Those are the 3 that they mentioned. Now we'll go one by one, starting with Chase Claypool. Now the issue that they talked about, of course, is immaturity, or lack of maturity overall. And we talked about that in the previous segment here, about how his sportsmanlike conduct, and then all the off-the-field issues in terms of just seemingly being dramatic in practice, being dramatic on the football field, and so on and so forth. And so they talked about getting rid of him now. That way it doesn't brew and build into an even bigger dramatic issue that we saw with the Antonio Brown situation. Now, from an on-the-field playing standpoint, he's a great receiver. And I want him to stay in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers should try to keep him in Pittsburgh. But if they feel like his diva-ness, if that's even a word, has overgrown his actual production on the field, then trading him this offseason whenever he still can get a pretty good return for him, in my opinion, might be a smart move. Devin Bush is another option out here. He wouldn't get a lot in return because his productivity is lacking, and it's kind of one of the things you go, former top 10 draft pick, he'll be playing a lot better than he actually has during his career with the Steelers. And their thought process here is that he's only 23 years old, and it could be one of those scenarios where you need just a change of scenery. We see this all the time in the National Football League where a player comes in, he's highly drafted, he doesn't play well at all, you think he's a bust, so you trade him away, and then he does well for a different football team. Like maybe Pittsburgh's just not the right spot for him to go ahead and be as productive, so they put him on this list. And finally, Cameron Sutton, the cornerback, who, according to Pro Football Focus, is one of the lowest graded cornerbacks in the league this year, and yet the Steelers are paying him like $5.2 million next year. And so your thought process there is that you get rid of him, you not only get rid of a bad cornerback, you save $5.2 million and you draft somebody to replace him or you sign somebody to replace him. But that to me is the one that makes the most sense, is getting rid of Cameron Sutton, who has been very much a liability. You saw it on Sunday for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and as being one of the lowest graded guys, according to Pro Football Focus, and still making $5.2 million next year. I think that one makes most sense. He probably has got to go. Which of the three players that we just mentioned in terms of Chase Claypool, Devin Bush, or Cameron Sutton would you trade next year? Let me know down below right now in the comment section. I say Cam Sutton. What say you? Before we go into the AFC playoff picture here and wrap up today's show, we shout out to our sponsor today and our friends at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Steelers125. Get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. As betting in the NFL is almost coming to an end, right? 2 more weeks of the regular season, then the playoffs, and then it's done. So get your bets in right now. First-time depositors, again, put $100 down. Use our link and our promo code Steelers125, and they give you a 125% deposit bonus. Turns that $100 deposit into $225 for you guys to bet on the Steelers or bet against the Steelers on Monday night. Either way, you can do it with our friends at BetUS. All right, finally here, the AFC playoff picture as you see it up on your screen here. Heading into Week 17, the Chiefs seemingly have the number 1 seed locked up, and we saw that on Sunday. They look like the number 1 team against that Steeler defense. Tennessee is currently your 2 seed after a win against the 49ers. Bengals are the 3 seed at 9-6. The Bills are the 4 seed after beating the Patriots. The Colts are the 5 seed, a great run right now by Indy at 9-6. Patriots are the 6 seed at 9-6, and the Dolphins are the 7 seed at 8-7 after beating Ian Book. One really challenging on Monday Night Football, but either way, beat the Saints on the road. Outside looking in, Chargers 8-7, bad loss to the Texans. Raiders 8-7, they beat the Broncos. Ravens 8-7, they lost to the Bengals. And then there are the Pittsburgh Steelers way down at the bottom, 7-7-1, third place in the AFC North, and seemingly very much on the outside looking in. Like they have a long way to go in order to go ahead and potentially make the postseason. Like, it's very simple. If you throw up their remaining schedule, you have to win on Monday Night Football against the Browns. Like, that's a must. So you absolutely have got to beat Baker Mayfield and the Browns on Monday, or else you are eliminated. And you have to beat Baltimore in Week 18. That would get them to 9-7-1 and seemingly into the postseason. Because, again, the playoff picture, you have these teams that most likely are going to lose one or two of their next couple of games. The Dolphins are not going to win out. There's no way Miami wins out. They have a tough schedule, including with the Patriots the final week of the year. That will bump them out. As long as the Chargers and Raiders don't win both of their remaining games, the Steelers are seemingly going to go ahead and be able to make it into the postseason. But again, they have to win out. And you got the Browns on Monday night. Yes, they get them at home. That's going to be tough. And then at Baltimore, you think Lamar Jackson is going to return in that one. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs, but I'll finish by asking you guys the question, will the Steelers go ahead and make the postseason? Type Y down below for yes, or type N down below for no. I mean, I always say I want them to. I don't not want the Steelers to get in. I just think back to the idea that can they actually win a game in the playoffs? No, probably not. And if that's the case, then maybe it's best to get a higher draft pick and start the reboot, not a rebuild, reboot early here in 2022. All right, again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channels. We are ending today's video. Plenty more content from myself and Megan coming up over the next couple of days and weeks. If they can beat the Browns, maybe revitalize that playoff push, but it's going to be a tough sledding in that one, in my opinion, even with the Browns struggling against the Packers on Christmas Day. For our Steelers News and Rumor video, I'm Thomas Mott. Ultimately for today, signing off for the rest of your day.